Welcome back to the GTN Show. As will likely be the case for a lot of shows going forwards, I'll be discussing Olympic qualification after this weekend's thrilling racing. Lionel Sanders getting slippery in the wind tunnel, and is he coached by the GOAT? Plus, I'll be announcing our winners for the Ergon Saddle Giveaway. Okay, kicking off with reactions I spotted on social media, on the internet this past week. One that really stood out, I thought was really cool. Lionel Sanders getting aero in the wind tunnel. Actually spent multiple days in the wind tunnel at Bjorn Giesmann's new aero wind tunnel in Germany, and testing everything by the sounds of things. He's not so constrained by sponsors and kit that he can and can't wear, so he's literally just testing everything and finding out what is quickest for him. Helmet, suits, the lot. And he's apparently found himself 30 watts, which is pretty amazing. They've actually got a really good video over on his channel that basically runs through all of that and shows the data as he goes through. Well worth a watch, and pretty scary if he's found himself 30 watts. But if anyone has watched it, you may notice a special kind of sly guest appearance from none other than Jan Frodeno. And there's been a bit of speculation about who is Lionel's new coach. Is it Jan? Anyway, very cool. Also, we saw Jess Learmonth racing a middle distance race and kind of come back to racing post-pregnancy. And I liked this one after the race. TT position for 2.3 hours with very little practice. Would not recommend. I can't move my arms. Seriously horrendous. Delighted to make the podium. I'll be talking about her result later on, but yeah, very impressive. An announcement from Yuri Kulin. He's been somewhat quiet for the last 2 or 3 weeks after his DNF in Mallorca, and he said, yeah, quite a few weeks here getting the work done. Happy to announce though what's up next for me. And he's choosing to do Ironman 70.3 Rapperswil in Switzerland, which apparently is where he got his first 70.3 win and it holds good memories. But as a result of that, means he won't be doing the next T100 Tour race in San Francisco, which means, well, he's currently ranked #1 in that series, so he's essentially giving that away. And the reason being, he says, as a team, he's made that call, knowing that it's going to be a long season and wanting to perform later on into the season. So yeah, big move and opting to step aside on that one. Also, this one from Dave Scott. He's announced that he's having open heart surgery, and this is a result, he believes, complications due to excessive long distance training compounding over the years, and yeah, his heart has basically taken a toll and he's having to have open heart surgery. So our thoughts go out to Dave, and hopefully that all goes well and recovers nice and fast. And then finally, lovely bit of news, Skye Munch and her partner have got a baby coming, so she's due in November, so lovely announcement. Does mean, however, we won't be seeing her racing, which is gutting, but fantastic for her and the family. And moving on to the Tri News, the PTO have just announced the venue for their PTO Tour event later this year in Dubai. So it's going to be hosted at the Meydan Racecourse and the Crystal Lagoon of District 1. So the swim will obviously be in the Crystal Lagoon swimming complex of this exclusive residential complex in District 1. And then it'll be moving on to the Meydan Racecourse for the bike and presumably the run. And that will obviously be the penultimate race of the tour, taking place on the 16th and 17th of November, just a couple of weeks before the grand final. Now, many of you may have also noticed a very impressive record being broken last week, and that was by Immo Boddy doing the UK 3 peaks. So she broke the female fastest known time over the 3 peaks. Not just doing the 3 peaks, but also running between them. So to do that, she had to cover 680 kilometers and 10,000 meters of elevation. So she started on the 15th of May at 7 a.m. and completed it on the 21st of May at 12:43 p.m. So to do this, you have to go up Ben Nevis in Scotland, Scaffold Pike in the Lake District, and all the way down to Snowdon in Wales. A time of 6 days, 5 hours and 43 minutes, but apparently comfortably broke the previous record, which has stood for 45 years, previously at 7 days and 31 minutes. Now, to put that in context, it means that she had to run around 100 kilometers each day, plus some serious elevation in there. Yeah, so very, very impressive. This isn't obviously her first foray into these ultra records, because actually in 2022 she became the youngest female to run the length of Britain, which is 1,340 kilometres from John O'Groats to Land's End. She did that in 22 days, covering 60 kilometres a day. So very impressive. Yeah, what's next, Immo? Now for What the Tech. Now, this piece of technology we have spoken about before on GTN. It comes from Switch technology, where you basically can convert your normal bike to an e-bike quite simply by just putting a front wheel in and installing their unit onto your bike. Well, they have actually unveiled an update or a new piece of kit, which is what they call slightly more budget friendly and appeals more to the mass market. It's a slightly more dumbed down version of their previous model. It's now called the Switch Go, and they've done that by just making the unit slightly smaller, and basically rather than you having to mount this and fix it to the front of your bike, you now can just Velcro it onto your frame. So very quickly you can switch your bike to an e-bike. Pretty impressive. So that Switch Go is now available for £299 for those that are willing to wait, and yeah, join that waiting list, or £599 if you want an immediate purchase. But yeah, quite impressive. Turn your bike to an e-bike with 250 watts extra power. Not bad. Now we also had our Ergon Saddle Giveaway running for the last couple of weeks. Your chance to win one of essentially 4 new saddles from Ergon, 2 male, 2 female, to suit different positions on the saddles. We've got the 4 winners for that. We've got Will Trail, Yvonne Warmth, Kazaba Gules, and Rachel Rutherford. Congratulations. We'll get in touch and get those saddles out to you ASAP. And now for the race news, the big race of this weekend, WTCS Cagliari. Yeah, this was basically the last opportunity for athletes to qualify for the Olympics, but also our last chance to see the best athletes in the world race against one another before the big dance in Paris in the summer, and kind of see where they're all at. So starting with the women's race, it's Cassandra Beaugrand that took a big win and confidence boost there. In fact, I believe it's her first ever Olympic distance WTCS win, which is kind of hard to believe really, but apparently that is the case. Despite some significant surges on the bike from the likes of Taylor Knibb, Georgia Taylor-Brown and some others, the group actually stayed together, and coming into T2 meant it was basically a run race. So quite early on we had 6 athletes breaking free: Emma Lombardi, Georgia Taylor-Brown, Beth Potter, Cassandra Beaugrand, Sophie Caldwell and Jan Lahair. Amazingly, Lisa Tersch actually managed to bridge up to that group on the second lap, making that a group of 7. But soon after, we had Beth Potter putting some surges in and quickly dropped Sophie Caldwell and Georgia Taylor-Brown from that group. Well, it was actually, as you know, Cassandra Beaugrand that managed to push ahead in the final kilometre to take the win. Lisa Tersch taking second and Beth Potter third. So yeah, very impressive from Lisa Tersch. Definitely a name we should be keeping an eye out for. Now obviously a lot of athletes were vying for Olympic qualification, but the British race was really hot. We actually had a number of the athletes in the top 20. We had obviously Beth Potter already qualified, Georgia Taylor-Brown, Sophie Caldwell, Kate Waugh and Sian Raisley all in the top 20. So Georgia Taylor-Brown in 6th, Sophie Caldwell just a place behind in 7th, just a couple of seconds in it. Kate Waugh in 10th and Sian Raisley in 20th. So we've got 2 more spots available, and I guess those are probably going to be decided between Georgia Taylor-Brown, Sophie Caldwell and Kate Waugh. Now obviously Georgia Taylor-Brown, she got a silver behind Flora Duffy in Tokyo, but she has had a number of setbacks this year. So yeah, very interesting. It'll be interesting to hear what comes in the next couple of weeks. Katie Seferis actually beat all the other US women, despite obviously Taylor Knibb, who's already qualified. So again, another interesting dynamic there. And also just in terms of the actual race dynamics there, interesting to see it come down to essentially a run race, unless the likes of Flora Duffy or Taylor Knibb do something special on race day at the Olympics. We could see the same happening again, meaning those athletes we maybe saw in the top 3, 4, 5 could be those that are vying for the podium positions at the Olympics. So yeah, watch this space. Meanwhile, in the men's race, Alex Yee took the win in a thrilling sprint finish with Hayden Wild. Obviously, they are the heavy favourites heading into the games this summer, but to see them racing this weekend and hitting the blue carpet, that finish shoot together was really, really exciting. A bit of a teaser maybe of what's to come. Now, in terms of the race dynamics, it was a very choppy swim. In fact, they actually had to delay the start of the men's race a little bit. Now, despite those choppy conditions, we didn't see any significant breaks in the swim. It was strung out, but pretty much all the key players were there and in contention. Onto the bike, about 25 or so of those athletes managed to sort of break away, really pushing the pace despite the wet conditions, and that gap was opening up to the chasers behind. In those wet conditions, we saw the likes of Henry Schumann and Simon Westerman losing contact, and even Morgan Pearson, famous for his Zone 2 riding. I'm not sure that was the reason behind him losing touch with the group. I think it was either the wet conditions or just having a bad day. Even Christian Blumenfeld, but that I believe is due to a puncture. He lost around 2 minutes, so not a great day for him. As expected though, onto the run, Alex Yee and Hayden Wilde just broke clear of the rest of the field, and it became a race between the two of them. Hayden Wilde trying to push the pace in the second half of the run to try and get rid of Alex Yee, but once again, Hayden Wilde was outmaneuvered by his rival. Alex Yee took the win, Hayden Wilde in second, and in third we had Shungur Lehman. Now, over the coming weeks, we will be hearing which athletes have been selected for the Olympic Games and those that have not. As I said at the start of the show, this will be a running theme for the subsequent weeks as we discuss and we announce, very excitingly, who will be lining up for the Olympic Games. I would hate to be in the selection committee's shoes right now for each of those nations. They have got a very, very tough job on their hands, but also very exciting for us as viewers as we find out, as I say, who will be racing at the Olympic Games. So yeah, watch this space. We also had some other very exciting racing this weekend. Ironman 70.3 Krashkow. On the women's side, we had Laura Phillip racing up against Jess Learmonth. Now, Jess Learmonth coming back from pregnancy. This is only her second ever middle distance race. It wasn't without issues and errors. Laura Phillip comfortably took the win, but Jess Learmonth went the wrong way on the swim. I believe she went kind of the wrong way of the buoy and went a little bit extra, had to turn around, go back around the buoy the correct way, and then still managed to pass the field again and lead the swim out. But did, in doing so, lose about a minute on the swim, and also made a mistake in T2, undid her helmet at the wrong point apparently. But anyway, she still managed to take second place ahead of Laura Janssen in third. On the men's side, it was Nick Hildorn that took the win, ahead of Justus Nieschlag and Jonas Hoffman in third. We also had Challenge St. Polten. That was won by Laura Zimmerman in second, Chloe Sparrow, and in third, Sarah Schoenfelder. On the men's side, Tom Hoog took the win, ahead of Andre Kubu and Will Draper in third. That's it for the racing, but we do have some very exciting racing coming up because we've got Ironman Hamburg this coming weekend, which is a women's only pro event. So we've got the likes of Kat Matthews, Els Visser, Jackie Herring, Fenella Langridge, Maya Stage Nielsen, Sarah Svensk, all sorts lining up for that. So that'll be a very exciting race. We also have Ironman 70.3 Switzerland and Challenge Salou. And now for Try Spy, our new section of the show. Can you guess who this athlete is? We are zooming in on a section of an athlete and do your best. Last week we gave you this photo. Many of you guessed either Christian Blumenfeld or Alistair Brownlee. And none of you were right, because it was neither of those, but some of you did get it right. It was Kyle Smith. I thought that was going to be too easy, but we confused some of you, so we've done our job. This week, again, I think we might have gone too easy, but I don't know. This time it's a tattoo on someone's arm. Whose tattoo is that? I think it's very recognisable, but let's see. Let us know who you think it is in the comment section down below. Hashtag TrySpy. Go for it. Say what? Okay, last week many of you commented under our tube versus tubeless video. James and myself had a lot of fun testing tubes versus tubeless, as many of you actually pointed out, and seemed to realise we were having a lot of fun doing so. I was using the tubes, James was on a tubeless setup. I'd say James quite convincingly won, but many of you still not convinced. Anyway, up to you. Now, also a lot of you did comment that we should be using TPU tubes, not latex tubes. There were quite a few comments like that. Now, we used latex tubes, which are faster rolling than butyl tubes, and quite rightly, TPU tubes are supposedly, and have been tested actually, to be faster yet again. And you're right. We're so 2020, we just need to catch up with the times. Yes, TPU tubes are really good, and actually it was something James and myself discussed at the time, and we thought, a lot of people are still using latex tubes, they haven't maybe made that move to TPU tubes, so let's test what is common and mostly used. Turns out we're wrong. It seems a lot of you are using TPU tubes, so there's another test coming up, I think, in due course. What I have noticed using TPU tubes, and a couple of people did comment, they're great, but they do lose air quite quickly, so you've got to be on it with pumping them up. But over the course of a race, heck, you're going to be fine. Anyway, another comment from Terry Foster 1821, which I thought was worth a mention. I feel like you could have mentioned Frederick Funk's bike split record while you mentioned the second best time from Kyle Smith. Quite right. So this is from the Challenge Champs. Frederick Funk also recorded the fastest ever middle distance bike split of 1:48.48. So that's an average speed of 49.6 kilometers per hour. It should be noted, obviously, the championship course is slightly shy of 90 kilometers. It's 89 kilometers, I believe, but that's well within the parameters of the legal sort of 90 kilometers plus or minus. So yeah, very impressive, and thank you for pointing that out. Well, that is it for the show this week. I have quite a big video coming up. Well, I say big. It took an almighty effort from myself over the course of a week, where I followed an elite marathon runner's training plan for a week. I was meant to run about 203 kilometers. You have to see how much I actually completed. I still feel like I did fair amount. Anyway, stay tuned, that's coming this weekend. And we have a video for you to watch now. It's our beginner swim series with Harry, who is petrified of water and can't swim in his mid-30s. We're trying to help him overcome that fear, and this is our second video in that series, and we try to get him swimming a length of the pool. So go watch that now, it's really quite impressive. If you enjoyed today's show, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. See you next time.